When we left off after round one, I was hoping for a very exciting day two, round three of the NFL draft. We did not really get it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. That was one of the worst fantasy football versions of the day two of the NFL draft that we have ever seen. I've got my rankings updated over at flockfantasy.com for Superflex tight end premium rookie leagues. The one guy that I moved into the first round who I did not have there before was Zachariah Branch. I moved him up to my 111. Zachariah Branch got drafted in the third round to the Atlanta Falcons. The thing you have to know about me is I love guys like Zachariah Branch. I love very fast guys. I love guys who are very dominant in terms of the total number of touches they get for their offense. In college, Zachariah Branch had 83 receptions his final season. At Georgia, no one else had more than 26. Now, yes, a lot of those were slants and screens. I believe 49% of his receptions came behind the line of scrimmage. I'm here to tell you, I don't care. In this class, I most certainly do not care. Zachariah Branch, also an all-world punt and kick returner. The Atlanta depth chart is completely absent. There's no one who is any good at catching passes after Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Adam Schefter reported the team might even be trading Kyle Pitts. So I am willing to stick my neck out for Zachariah Branch. I am moving him into that same tier that I have Ty Simpson, that I have Omar Cooper Jr. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to separate the A and B tier, and I'm going to move Simpson, Cooper, and Branch into their own tier. And then I'm going to start to block out some of these guys that are in the B tier. Kaelon Black was the third running back drafted in this NFL draft. He's 24 and a half years old. He was in a timeshare his final collegiate season in Indiana. He was not a combine invite. However, he was on Bruce Feldman's freaks list on The Athletic. So I think it's reasonable to assume he's fairly athletic. Was Kaelon Black a particularly good collegiate running back? No, he really wasn't. However, he did get drafted in the third round by the San Francisco 49ers as basically one of the most valuable running back landing spots that you can have in the entirety of fantasy football. So I do feel pretty good about just saying, hey, man, if this is a weak class and you don't really need a tight end on your team, I mean, I'm guessing that right now at 12 overall, that is going to be above where his ranking is going to be. And I might mix and I'm saying I might. I certainly will mix and match these. The thing that I don't love about Kaelon Black's profile is that I just don't think he's going to be a passing down guy at all. So if he does earn a role in San Francisco, it's going to be on early downs. And what we've seen that is so valuable in Shanahan's system is the guys who can do both. You know, Eli Mitchell was able to do a little bit of both. Isaac Urendo was able to do a little bit of both. And the guys who could do a little bit of both are the ones who are very valuable. Was Jordan James a particularly good prospect? No, he was not. So Kaelon Black could be the running back two behind a 30-year-old Christian McCaffrey. Next up, I do have Oscar Delp. Oscar Delp ended up getting good draft capital going to the New Orleans Saints going on day two of the NFL draft. Delp, again, a pretty weird prospect in the sense that he just was not asked to do anything at Georgia, but he also played with Darnell Washington. He played with Brock Bowers. He played for a team that doesn't throw the ball. He actually was teammates with Zachariah Branch. And this is kind of one where I'm actually leaning on the ball knowers, as it were. So when I say the ball knowers, I say, you know, these guys who watch a lot of film, these guys who have a lot of opinions on what guys can actually do on the field. My friend Hayden Winks had Oscar Delp ranked as his tight end two before the NFL draft. And so when guys who are really into football are able to see things that I'm not able to see, because I'm not going to pretend that when I watch this film that I am able to do it as well as an NFL coach. I mean, I watch these guys play, but you don't want me trying to create falsifiable analysis as a result of doing that, because that's not my skill set. That is not really what I do for fantasy football. So I moved Delp way up. I think this is a good landing spot. I like Tyler Shuck. I like the dome. We talked about this yesterday in the video with Jordan Tyson. Juwan Johnson is a 29-year-old converted wide receiver. Oscar Delp is going to be able to put his hand in the dirt, block right away. In fact, it pained me to do it, but I moved Delp ahead of my guy, Eli Stowers, who did get good draft capital, who does go in the second round to the Philadelphia Eagles. The issue is they also drafted Makai Lemon. He has a very duplicative skill set in terms of average depth of target and where on the field you would expect Eli Stowers to be targeted with Makai Lemon. Dallas Goedert is also clearly going to be the starting tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2026. So as a result of that, your path to Stowers having fantasy football relevance year one is not great. Then you have to ask, well, what's going to become of Mekhi Lemon? Who's going to be a more dominant target earner between him and Mekhi Lemon? And I would say, well, it certainly is going to be Mekhi Lemon. I love Stowers. Stowers is one of my favorite prospects. I drafted him a ton in the pre-draft best ball contest over on Underdog. And it's just not going to matter. I don't like, again, I think he's very good. He got great draft capital, the relative athletic score. I mean, the guy can absolutely jump out of the building. I think he's great, but it's going to be hard for him to show it in this circumstance. And he also might be a guy that I move down in my rankings a little bit. Denzel Boston got drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the second round, so he is going to be paired up there with Casey Concepcion. Again, I did not like Denzel Boston as a prospect. 31st percentile receptions per game, 39th percentile yards per game, 50th percentile target share. Really not loving the 27th percentile yards per route run his final season. Again, I don't really like these guys who take 4 years to break out. The late declared late breakout who also plays on the outside, who plays as a perimeter guy, which is what Denzel Boston is. That is basically my least favorite genre of wide receiver prospect. I also, as we talked about with Concepcion, I don't view Cleveland as a good landing spot, and now it's getting awful crowded. Now, drafting Boston and Concepcion both does probably mean Jerry Jeudy's on his way out of town after the 2026 season. So if they're both able to play, I'll end up being wrong. And I could see a scenario where Boston falls too far in these rookie drafts, and I just say, well, hey, I mean, he's a top 50 pick in the real NFL draft who had like a decent production profile. We've seen some of these types of guys hit in the NFL. So why not? Like if he ends up being a late second, I can imagine taking a lot of him. Another guy that I am going to want to stick my neck out on is going to be my guy, Jacobe Lane, where he came in as one of the few boundary wide receiver prospects in this class. The overall yards per route run, not great for him. First off, he is younger, so he is an early declare. He also has a bit of a weird profile where he outproduced other very good wide receivers when they were all true freshmen together at USC, which I think is very interesting. I thought the combine physical profile was really strong, and this is another one where you get kind of conflicting ideas from some of the ball knowers, because my guy Matt Harmon over at Reception Perception charted him with a very, very low win rate versus man coverage, which obviously you would hope a bigger guy would win versus man coverage quite a bit. But one of the issues with him is that because he's so big and so strong and so fast, that a lot of the times he was able to win in some of those contested catch situations. But I love the landing spot. I don't think there's anyone who can keep him off the field. I don't think Devontae Walker. I don't think Rashad Bateman. I don't think, whatever tight end they bring in, because as of right now, the Baltimore Ravens don't even have a second tight end after being one of the heaviest 12 personnel teams. I think we could see Jacobe Lane being like a 75% route share guy on a really efficient passing offense by like week 5. Now, this has gone both way with the Ravens. Over time, we've seen rookie wide receivers with Lamar come in and play right away. We've also seen rookie wide receivers like never play, like Devontae Walker, a very good example of a guy who just was never able to get on the field. But I really like Jacobe Lane. I really like the landing spot. And the reason why I'm sticking my neck out is I have him ranked ahead of Antonio Williams. This will not be consensus. Antonio Williams gets drafted by the Washington Commanders on day 2. Again, honestly, like a more stable profile. He's going to be an interior slot receiver. That's a role that has done very well with Jaden Daniels. Do I think Antonio Williams is particularly good? I don't know. I mean, basically, I just have less strong feelings about him, and I have stronger feelings about Jacobe Lane. If there are big Antonio Williams fans, I'm not even arguing with you about Antonio Williams. I just do not feel strongly about this player, and I feel more strongly about Jacobe Lane. I think Jacobe Lane is quite good. Carson Beck with the first pick of the 3rd round goes to the Arizona Cardinals. What do you want me to say? I mean, I have nothing good to say about Carson Beck as a quarterback or a player. This is a tremendously weak draft class. If you were in super flex leagues, I think just getting these quarterbacks, and I just realized I forgot to put Drew Aller in my rankings. I would consider Carson Beck and Drew Aller kind of similar ability to generate starts in the NFL. Both of them are going to be behind veteran quarterbacks this upcoming year, but might end up drawing starts because the team is so bad or because the veteran quarterback ahead of them gets injured. And the other assets here are not particularly great. Chris Bell with one of the final picks of the 3rd round. He is coming off of the torn ACL. What is interesting about Bell is that had he not torn his ACL, might have even been a first round pick, might have even been an early second round pick. There were a lot of guys in both the film community, the analytics community, just the NFL draft, community overall, who really, really liked Chris Bell. I play a lot of college football daily fantasy, and the Louisville offense was very fun. And I remember quite liking Chris Bell and Colin Lacey in those games. The stuff for Chris Bell generally looks pretty good as a prospect profile, and he would have gone a lot higher. He has a chance to just be his team's wide receiver 1 from week 1 or week 4, whenever he's able to get back from his torn ACL for the Miami Dolphins. If we get good reports, good medicals on his knee, like over the next month or 2 months or whatever, I can see him going quite high. I actually think we could see Chris Bell, and going ahead of Jacobe Lane, going ahead of Antonio Williams. I mean, we'll see what the fantasy football intelligentsia does with Kaelon Black and with Delp. I think he's an interesting player. I think that Malik Willis is like a fun fantasy football player. I do think he might have a hard time, delivering fantasy value because the passing volume for Miami is just going to be so low. Like, I would say Miami is probably the favorite to throw the least forward passes in the NFL this upcoming season. Eli Raridon with one of the final picks of the third round to the New England Patriots. Now, when I show you this prospect page, you're going to be like, why did this guy even get drafted? I don't know how this works, but every scouting report I read on Eli Raridon, Dane Brugler, it does not matter. Every scout loved this guy. Every scout said this guy's going to be a good NFL player. He's already a great blocker. He's got soft hands. He moves. I guess this is just a function of how things work for Notre Dame. I think this is an elite landing spot because he can play right away because the Patriots play so much 12 personnel and because Hunter Henry is no spring chicken, is on the downside of his career. I mean, Eli Raridon could take over as the starting tight end for Drake May. I mean, maybe in the back half of this season, maybe this is like a Harold Fannin, David Njoku situation where the veteran just does not have it anymore and the young guy comes in and is way better. So I moved Eli. I actually didn't even have Eli Raridon ranked before this. Maybe that's a non-ball knower thing by me, but I moved Eli Raridon up to the late second round range. Jeremy Bernard, a third round pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I tweeted on X, the Everything app, I said Jeremy Bernard was created in a lab to go 45, 5, 15, and 3 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And my friend Mark Dankenberg from ETR replied, in their first run of projections, that was the exact stat line that they derived mathematically for him. He is just like a good, competent, cromulent slot wide receiver for a team that has 2 better wide receivers in Michael Pittman Jr. and a DK Metcalf. They don't have an answer at quarterback. They're a team that's probably going to want to run the ball a good bit. It's fine. I mean, if you want to take Jeremy Bernard, I maybe am kind of waiting to see what happens with the running backs on day 3 of the NFL draft. We will have another video out on this channel when we get there. I probably will honestly have 0% of Jeremy Bernard, and I might even move him lower than this in my actual rankings once we get to drafting, because I might want to start taking shots on guys who have higher long-term ceilings, or just start taking some of these tight ends. Honestly, like, what a crazy tight end class. Chris Brazzle gets drafted late in the 3rd by the Carolina Panthers. He was actually rumored to potentially go late first. Another big guy, another one of these perimeter guys. I have a hard time with a lot of these Tennessee guys. I mean, you see 5 for 83 was kind of his statistical average, only a 21% target share, 2.09 yards per route run. However, with Brazzle, I have a couple friends who are Tennessee Volunteers fans, and those in the fantasy football community, we've learned that a lot of these Tennessee numbers are fake. Jalen Hyatt winning the Biletnikoff with like a bazillion yards and 20 touchdowns was a really good example of this. And these aforementioned Tennessee Volunteers friends have told me, no, the Tennessee offense was actually different this year. The numbers are not nearly as fake, video gamey, and Brazzle actually is a different category of player. How many mouths are there to feed? Is he going to be able to get on the field? Like, who is going to earn more targets this upcoming season, Chris Brazzle or Jalen Coker? If you think it's Coker, I probably have Brazzle overranked here. If you think that it is Brazzle, I might even have him underranked. Or do you think, maybe Bryce Young takes a step. Dave Canales is a very good coach. I don't know. I mean, this is a little bit of a mystery box situation for me because I don't have super strong opinions on what Brazzle can do. The 3rd round draft capital is certainly nice, but also if only 3 running backs win and all these tight ends are going, there were 2 guys two tight ends who went in the 2nd round. The guy the Jaguars took and Marlon Klein, who I straight up did not have in the slot model, just straight up didn't have him. because they're just not fantasy football relevant. So it's just a very, very weird draft class on the offensive side of the ball. Ted Hurst, a prospect who I did absolutely love, Valdosta and Georgia State's own. Again, another big guy who can play inside or outside. Had a very strong combine. I actually, so I did watch a lot of Ted Hurst because I was just like, in this day and age, why was a guy who put up these collegiate stats and had this good of a RAS and was expected to be drafted, why did he not transfer? Like, why was this guy not getting NIL money from Miami or Alabama or Georgia? I don't really know. I expect Ted Hurst to honestly kind of be annoying for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think it's going to be sort of similar to what we saw last year when Evans, Godwin, and Igbuka and McMillan were all healthy, where everyone's routes kind of got trimmed a little bit more than you would have wanted them to be. Now, the Buccaneers, I think, are smart doing this because they know Godwin is overage. They know Jalen McMillan had the weird neck thing last year. Like, I think investing at the wide receiver position like this is quite smart. It's just a little bit annoying for fantasy because you are talking about a guy who, without an injury, is probably going to max out at like 40% of the routes for the Buccaneers. But in terms of late seconds, if this running back class is as weak as it seems it's going to be, and 3 running backs through 3 rounds is about as bad as it gets, like that I can ever remember in the way that the NFL works, because generally speaking, late seconds, third rounds, fourth rounds, I just want to load up on running backs with those picks. It's so much easier for running backs to get fantasy points, to get onto a roster, to not be roster cloggers than wide receivers. But I do really like Ted Hurst, and I actually view this as a good landing spot because I don't think that Chris Godwin is going to be a long-term starter there because he is heading over the age cliff right now. So Nick Singleton not drafted yet, Mike Washington Jr. The single funniest pick of the draft, Deshaun Stribbling, was the first pick of the 3rd round. I do not know how this happened. His expected draft capital on mock draft consensus did get into the 100s. So Deshaun Stribbling is a 5-year super senior who played at 3 different schools, ended his career at Ole Miss. I mean, I guess he was very fast. Again, I watch a lot of college football. I pay attention to this stuff. I watched him at Oklahoma State. I don't see it. I really have no idea what Kyle Shanahan is doing. This is kind of what Kyle Shanahan does. He just does these weird, bizarre things. I ran Stribbling through the slap model, even with this new draft capital, and it still did not love him as one of the top prospects, as a top 20 prospect in this class. Again, I will potentially change my opinion. You know, maybe I will have a conversation with JJ Zachariason. Maybe the domain guys will put me on something with Deshaun Stribbling. And it is a great landing spot. I mean, do not get me wrong. This is a team that, like, the 49ers are desperately crying out for a wide receiver. Mike Evans is probably only going to play 1 more year for them. Who knows if Ricky Pearsall was ever going to be able to stay on the field. I mean, I suppose that there's no room for him to get on the field year 1 if all those guys stay healthy because they have Christian Kirk, they have George Kittle. So maybe this is a little bit of an arrested development spot, but like one injury and the 49ers might have to count on Stribbling. And I guess this actually could be a situation where I end up with Stribbling on a lot of my teams, even though I don't like him, because there's a chance. This actually has happened with 2 guys that I remember, and they were, funnily enough, they were both Rams, Tutu Atwell and Van Jefferson. They were both 2nd-round picks. They both absolutely sucked. Never did anything for fantasy, either of these guys, but they were 2nd-round picks who ended up being 3rd or even 4th-round rookie draft picks. And Stribbling does kind of feel very Van Jefferson-y to me in the sense that I think this guy has no chance. But at a certain point, you can't ignore that degree of draft capital. Malachi Fields was a 3rd-round pick to the New York Giants. I mean, I'm sorry, dude. This guy stinks. He's no good. He just does not generate any separation. 1.87 yards per route run in his college career. Ended the career, he transferred from Virginia to Notre Dame. Generates like no separation. Doesn't win versus man. I don't know. It just feels like classic Giants decision making. Just like a bummer of a draft pick. Max Clark, who my friend Jacob Sanderson was really trying to sell me on. This has got to be the funniest pick of the draft. A 2nd-round pick to a team that has nothing but tight ends. So the Los Angeles Rams have my guy, Terrence Ferguson. They still have Tyler Higbee. They still have Colby Parkinson and Davis Allen, who they were playing last year. They currently have 6 tight ends under contract. I would guess this means that Davis Allen and Tyler Higbee are probably going to be cut. It's not a great sign for Terrence Ferguson. It's probably not even a great sign for Colby Parkinson. It is definitely an indication that the Rams are going to keep doing this super, super heavy 12 and 13 personnel. No team played more 13 personnel than the Los Angeles Rams last season. I would guess they're going to scale even higher than that this year. Although we did see Terrence Ferguson as a rookie, it took a long time for him to get on the field. He was not really contributing to the team into the back half of the season until after their bye week. So probably the same thing will happen with Clark. I actually believe it is Max Clare. I just think Clark is cooler. Then we got my guy Sam Roush was drafted as well to the Chicago Bears. I mean, they probably are going to cut or restructure Cole Kmet. I don't really see any way for Sam Roush to get on the field right away. Was not a particularly interesting prospect coming out of Stanford, not a receiving guy. Some guys had him ranked high the same way they had Delp, but he did not get the same investment. And Delp, I think there was more to build on there because Delp did have some moments as a receiver that we just did not see with Sam Roush. I mean, I could totally be wrong about that. And then I just realized I did not rank Drew Aller because he's Drew Aller. I mean, again, probably a guy who's going to get some starts. I will probably have Aller somewhere in this 18, 19, 20, 21 range, something like that. But by and large, I mean, I will say this is a real situation where the haters said it couldn't be done, and you got to hand it to the haters. This was a very, very bad run out for day 2 in terms of what could happen for fantasy football. A lot of the running backs who we like, Nick Singleton, Mike Washington Jr., they did Jonah Coleman, Emmett Johnson. None of these guys got drafted. Some of the athletic project wide receivers, guys like Bryce Lance, did not go, which is a little bit of a bummer. Jaden Ott, Deion Burks, 2 guys I were really looking for to potentially go on day 2, did not go. I mean, Kaelon Black, a non-combine invitee, being the running back 3 in a draft class has to be so singular. I would really love to go back in the annals of NFL draft history and find the last time that happened. So, kind of the thing that we all knew was going to happen ended up happening, in which day 2 of the NFL draft sucked and our late first and our second round rookie picks suck. And you're not going to be able to sell them for anything. I mean, you're going to do your best to try, and maybe someone out there will really love Antonio Williams, someone will really love Chris Bell. But I would actually love your feedback on this because I'm it is 10:32 Central Time. The third round of the draft just ended. I did not have a ton of time to think about these. So if there's anything I missed, if there's anything that I said that was obviously wrong, anything that you disagreed with, please, please, please comment down below. If you want access to any of these rankings or tools that you saw on the screen, head on over to flockfantasy.com. Use code Davis to sign up over there. You can get team reviews, ask me trade questions, start sits, all that good stuff with a little voucher bundle. Make sure you're subscribed to the Dynasty Matic channel. That helps me out big time trying to get this channel built up. And I will see you guys back tomorrow for day 3 analysis of the NFL draft.